This is a flag that unifies Britain. I don't feel it's my flag.
If they don't like the flag of this country, they don't have to live here.
Well, I live here, hard cheese. I live here, hard cheese. I'm staying here.
And why are you complaining about the flag? I used to believe Britain was racist to the core until I realized that there is a massive industry that gets very rich by making you believe that lie. You're going to see that industry on full display when you hear Narinder talk about the flag, but a brilliant patriot completely exposes her live on TV. Let's watch.
There are other countries, for example, the United States, where flags are everywhere. Other people are saying they find those flags slightly threatening.
Well, look, you know my point of view, and I'm going to die on this hill. They are, this particular raise the colours, and the guy who invented it, or I don't know, the leader of it, he was recently arrested for racially and religious aggravation or something. Now, if that doesn't tell you that they're for intimidation, I look at those flags. If I lived in an area and I saw those flags, I would not feel comfortable. I wouldn't want to live in that area. I'd want to move out. They are specifically put up to intimidate marginalised communities, and you will never be able to convince me this is about patriotism. It isn't about that. It is to intimidate. It is about power. It is to make people feel uncomfortable and scared. You will never, ever be able to tell me that's not the case, Rick, because I know you're getting ready to tell me that's not the case, but I'm sorry.
Okay, people like Narinder are literally the reason I stopped being woke. Because I realized that black and brown people like her make so much money coming on these platforms and talking about how they fear for their life and they're scared of racism when they live in comfort. They live in luxury and there is no threat upon their lives. In fact, the average black and brown person walking the street is also not scared for their lives because this isn't happening up and down the country. In fact, I've been in pubs in the middle of England where there's flags everywhere, not a non-white face for miles, and felt totally fine. They just gave me my drink. I had it. I left, all good. But it doesn't stop people like Narinder still making a ton of money peddling these false narratives. Meanwhile, some very evil people try and take advantage of that, and that's exactly what this caller exposes.
Do you see it as divisive and really asking others to leave?
How can the flag of this country be something that's divisive? It's a symbol for all people in this country, regardless of their point of origin. And the people who are putting up these flags are heroes, in my opinion. What we have here really is a culture war being initiated by a left-wing council under the control of the inappropriately named Liberal Democrats, who fundamentally detest this country and its people. If the people were putting up Palestinian flags or the flags of Bangladesh, as has been the case in parts of Birmingham and Tower Hamlets, which is under the control of an Islamist political party, the councils would not be trying to remove these flags. It's because they are British flags.
Mark, they've had 200. They've had 200 people complain. 200 complaints. 200 complaints. That's not nothing. That's not two people. 200 people feel that they are inappropriate. And going back to your point that this is a flag that unifies Britain, I don't feel it's my flag.
If they don't like the flag of this country, they don't have to live here.
Well, I live here, hard cheese. I live here, hard cheese. I'm staying here. And I find when they put these flags up in this particular manner, I find them intimidating. But if you put them out for a coronation or the Lionesses or football, it's amazing.
How can you find the flag of this country?
Because the far right have hijacked it. Because the far right have hijacked it. When you see the Tommy Robinson marches, they are absolutely covered with these flags. So does that make me feel comfortable, Mark?
Could I just come in on one point?
So you want the flag of this country removed in all contexts?
No, not at all. I just said that. I said coronation, footballing events. Okay, amazing.
Everything that man just said is absolutely true. Why would you take a national symbol and choose to see it only through the lens of evil? Like, would you do that with any other country? Would you look at the Nigeria flag, for example, and see it through the lens of a practice of leaving twins at birth because you assume that twins were a curse and making the mother drink a poison to test if she actually brought a curse on the village? Which is something that used to happen in Nigeria very often until a Scottish missionary, Mary Slessor, brought an end to that practice. I know because my family is from Nigeria. Would you look at the Indian flag and see it through the lens of the Indian slave trade? Would you look at the Somalian flag and see it through the lens of the over 80% of Somalians in the UK that live in benefits and send remittances back to Somalia? No, you wouldn't look at a national flag through the lens of evil. You would see that flag as representing the country with its many accolades and also, sure, some of its dark past. But in the case of the England flag or British flag, it's always seen in this way. Why is that? Well, on the one hand, it's obvious there's an industry of racism. people like Narinder Kaur make a lot of money going around saying that she's a victim of racism. And a lot of the liberal elites make a lot of money and feel really good about themselves by platforming people like her, saying that we're on the side of anti-racism because they see the world through this oppressor dynamic. So they want to feel righteous. They want to feel good. Many of them are people that do not have a relationship with God. They're devoid of soul. And so being anti-racist messiahs helps them feel good about themselves. On the other hand, this is peddled by people who actually benefit from turning a blind eye to the evil of many minorities. Essentially, criminals that want to cover up their tracks by avoiding any scrutiny, because the problem is always a racist English. Just take the Liberal Democrats, for example. Most of Oxfordshire Council, ran by Liberal Democrats. They've also adopted the Islamophobia definition by the all-party parliamentary group, which says that Islamophobia is rooted in racism that targets expressions of Muslimness or perceived Muslimness. So what does that mean? It means that anytime you critique Islam or behaviors that Muslims do, group behaviors, it's because you're racist. So you see how the assumption is always racist. It doesn't matter what the action is. Racism is the crime. Racism is the accusation. We just need to find the crime, is basically what happens. The problem with that, of course, anybody can obviously see, is that some really bad people take advantage of this. I mean, take, for example, the rape gang report that has recently come out. You literally don't need to take a long time to read it and understand that overwhelmingly white British girls were being targeted by Muslim Pakistani gangs across the UK. This is the kind of behavior that can go on when you excuse the evil that other people do because all you want to see is the racism of the English flag. Never mind the fact that many people who are putting up these flags are seeing this kind of stuff and they're just angry that their daughters are being targeted and no justice is being done. Or they're angry that people can just literally jump on a boat, rock up into the country and then be put up at taxpayers' expense. They're angry about these things. And instead of actually dealing with these problems at the root, many of our establishments are focused chasing these dog whistle issues about flags and such. I mean, even in Oxfordshire Council themselves had their own grooming gang scandal in 2013. So this is not a town that is like devoid of these issues. So you can imagine people in Oxfordshire where this whole flag debate kicked off a couple of months ago, they took a flag down. People there are just like, yeah, keep it under wraps, keep it hush hush. And the flag is racist. Let's point the finger at the English. Let's point the finger at the British. I think what people like Narinder need to understand is you cannot kill the golden goose, right? Like you cannot come to a nation or your parents come to a nation, be born in a nation that was much more prosperous than the nation that you came from, had a much more structured society than the nation that you came from, benefit from the things that that nation has, but then chew up its national symbols and spit them out and desecrate them, and then bring people into the country in unmitigated levels, telling them that their cultures are fine, but the British cultures are evil, and expect to still get the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. You just can't do that. You need to respect the country that you're in and be able to see it, yes, of course, understanding its faults and flaws, but at the same time, not always assuming that every single thing done in the name of patriotism must be evil, must be racist, must be vicious. Because then you literally roll the red carpet down for criminals and evil people that take advantage of that. And we see right through it, and we're not going to allow it to continue anymore. But this is not the first time we expose a member of the woke establishment. To see us do that again, check out the video on your screen. I'll see you there. Peace and blessings.